Everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel MedBuddy. As we are discussing the topic myopathies, today we will discuss the continuation of that topic, that is mitochondrial myopathies. The mitochondrial myopathies. Mitochondrial myopathies, as the name is suggesting, have the mitochondrial inheritance. Mitochondrial inheritance means they are maternally inherited. If the mother is affected, then all the child will be affected. If the father is affected, no children will be affected. Okay, this is mitochondrial inheritance. Now we will study about the mitochondrial myopathies. So, one is chronic progressive external ophthalmoplegia and second is Kearns-Sayre syndrome. The typical about these two are they can be inherited, autosomal dominant, recessive or in sporadic form as well. But main mode of inheritance of Kearns-Sayre syndrome and chronic progressive external ophthalmoplegia is maternal, but they can be inherited in any of the other form, that is autosomal dominant, recessive or sporadic. Okay. So in case of chronic progressive external ophthalmoplegia, as the name is suggestive, external ophthalmoplegia, that is extraocular muscle are involved, so there will be symmetrical ptosis, but there will be no diplopia. Okay, it is chronic. Presentation is usually at 3rd to 4th decade, and patient will have associated sensory neural hearing loss. So the feature of CPEO are symmetrical ptosis without diplopia, and presentation is in 3rd to 4th decade, and associated sensory neural hearing loss will be there. Now about the Kearns-Sayre syndrome. Kearns-Sayre syndrome can occur as sporadic form. Age of presentation is less than 20 years, and the finding of CPEO, that is chronic progressive external ophthalmoplegia, will be there associated with sensory neural hearing loss. Then retinitis pigmentosa will be there. Cardiac conduction defect, complete heart block can be there. Then there can be cerebellar ataxia, mental retardation, diabetes mellitus, and gonadal dysfunction. These features can be associated with this. Okay. The one main feature of mitochondrial disorders are, on biopsy, they show red fiber. So yeah, this is the picture which is showing red fiber. These are red fiber. Okay, red fiber. Characteristic of mitochondrial myopathy. Now the other type of mitochondrial myopathy are MELAS and MERRF. MELAS is mitochondrial encephalomyopathy, lactic acidosis, and stroke-like syndrome. Okay, in this there is one is the mitochondrial myopathy. In mitochondrial myopathy, there will be proximal muscle weakness. Okay. In CPEO and Kearns-Sayre, there will not be usually the mitochondrial myopathy as the characteristic presentation. They usually present as external ophthalmoplegia, that is ptosis without diplopia. But MELAS and MERRF characteristically present as mitochondrial myopathy. In case of MERRF, in both of them there will be mitochondrial myopathy. In case of MERRF, ME means myoclonic epilepsy. Myoclonic epilepsy, progressive myoclonic epilepsy. RRF means red fiber. Okay, red fiber are seen on Gomori trichome strain. Then associated feature of MERRF are cerebellar ataxia. Actually, these are present in almost all of the mitochondrial myopathy, that is cerebellar ataxia, optic atrophy, and diabetes mellitus. Dementia, that is mental retardation. In case of MELAS syndrome, MELAS, ME in MELAS means mitochondrial encephalomyopathy. So there will be varying degree of cognitive impairment and dementia. There will be lactic acidosis, and there will be stroke-like syndrome. Not actually stroke, but stroke-like syndrome. Okay, there can be TIA, there can be weakness or hemiparesis. There is point mutation in mitochondrial DNA in case of MERRF. Same here, there will be gonadal dysfunction, and one more feature is, in case of MELAS, is there will be basal ganglia calcification. So common feature of mitochondrial disorders are, there is optic atrophy, retinitis pigmentosa in case of Kearns-Sayre syndrome. Okay, there will be cardiomyopathy and conduction defect. Mainly in case of Kearns-Sayre syndrome, there will be congenital heart block. There can be diabetes due to the insulin resistance. There can be neurodegeneration, stroke, cognitive decline. There can be sensory or motor neuropathies, and there can be lactic acidosis in case of MELAS. So this is all about mitochondrial myopathy. Now we will discuss some causes which cause intermittent muscle weakness. So till now we have studied about the causes of persistent muscle weakness. Now we will study how to approach a patient when come with intermittent muscle weakness. So patient is coming with intermittent weakness. First test we will do is myoglobinuria. If patient is having myoglobinuria and weakness of proximal muscle is more than the distal muscle, and in between the attack patient is normal, then we will ask patient to do forearm exercise. On forearm exercise, normally during exercise lactic acid increase. So after doing exercise, if there is reduction in rise of lactic acid, then there is a defect in glycolysis. So there will be deficiency of any glycolytic pathway enzyme, or there is deficiency of muscle phosphorylase, that is glycogen storage disease type 5 or McArdle's disease. So when there is decrease in lactic acid rise, causes are glycolytic pathway defect, and muscle phosphorylase deficiency, that is McArdle disease, glycogen storage disease type 5. Now if after doing exercise there is normal increase in lactic acid, then we will consider the carnitine palmitoyl transferase deficiency. Carnitine palmitoyl transferase deficiency. So on doing the muscle biopsy, the specific defect we can detect. Now we will discuss about when patient is presenting with intermittent weakness with myoglobinuria absent. Then if there is involvement of extraocular muscle, ptosis is present, bulbar muscle involvement is there, and limb muscle involvement is there, then we will think of nerve muscle junction disorder like myasthenia gravis or Lambert-Eaton, or congenital myasthenia gravis. When there is no myoglobinuria and there is proximal muscle weakness more than the distal muscle weakness, and there is no extraocular muscle involvement, then we will say if there is myotonia or not. If there is no myotonia, then it will be hypokalemic periodic paralysis if there is low potassium level, and if there is myotonia on examination, then it will be either hyperkalemic periodic paralysis or paramyotonia congenita. So this is about intermittent muscle weakness.